Hi, in this video I want to have a look at building an alliance and growing an alliance in a new kingdom, and what you can do against potentially strong players that attack members in your alliance. If you're, I assume that you're not a big spender yourself, but even if you are a big spender, your alliance can still be attacked, your alliance members, and that might still be very annoying. What you see always in the kingdom, there are a couple of players that spend significantly at the start, and there are many players who don't spend at all or who only spend a little bit, and they want to grow in other ways. And that's more than later, although later the differences are also big, but in the beginning the differences can really be huge, and that can result into battle reports like this, where we see an attack of player, somebody just started and somebody who already has reasonable stats, and the stats has a huge difference. But what also is a huge difference is the benefit from heroes. I was reinforcing a player, so the stats were that other players, but also the basic troops. So this person attacking had already tier 8 troops and quite a large march capacity compared to, for example, I had tier 3 troops. And the basic stat of those troops also make sure that there's already a huge difference. Add the difference in boost to that, and you get a very uneven battle, and you're easily wiped out. So the thing is that just happens. So what you can do is think about, why are people attacking my members, and try to do something about that. Most often, it could be that you're somehow in a real war, but most often that is not the case. Some of the reasons that players attack other players in the beginning can be related to resources. Resource can be one of the reasons. So make sure you tell your alliance members not to have a lot of excess resources. As long as you keep your resource in items, they cannot be taken. So only start opening up your items, using the items once you're ready to do a big building upgrade or a expensive research project, but not before. You don't want to make yourself a target. What can also help is upgrade your storehouse always to the highest level, especially early on. That means you can protect quite a lot, which can be quite useful. You can in addition increase that further if with, for example, research, to get a higher amount of resources that are protected. Later on, that's not really that useful. When you are much bigger, you need a lot more resources than can be protected by the storehouse, but early on that is going to be quite useful. So definitely a building you can consider upgrading at an early stage. And in general, like I said, don't open up those resources, because resources have a very important, can be a very important reason to attack other players. What can also be a reason is certain conflicts, especially verbal conflicts. That is when people get into arguments in kingdom chat, for example, and that is a reason to attack. And also, once you are attacked, if you start complaining about it, if you start writing to the player that attacked you, or writing things in kingdom chat again, certain players really like that. Actually, they get energy for that, and they see that as a reason to keep attacking you. They like the attention that they are getting. So I always suggest don't react. If you are attacked, don't react. Especially don't react out of emotion. At a certain moment you can ask, maybe one person is more good at diplomacy in your alliance, and you assign that person to contact the attacker or contact some leader from the alliance that attacked you. Ask what is the reason. Also, don't start complaining about it. Ask what is the reason and see whether you can do something to prevent the attacks, especially if the attacks keep going. If you're just attacked once, I wouldn't even bother about it. But if a player keeps attacking your alliance members, you can just inform about it and see what is the reason, and maybe something can be done about it. Sometimes it can be because of the location of the alliance. Maybe the attacking alliance feels that you're located too close to their alliance, or you're moving towards a castle that they consider theirs. Better not to get into conflict with a bigger alliance. If they don't like you there, move in a different direction to prevent any issues. There can be other reasons. Sometimes people just attack anyone, anywhere. Sometimes they really want to have the kills, and that is more difficult to deal with. But do realize almost all the kingdoms early on have a period of more or less random aggression, and later on that will get less and less. If you build your alliance big, quite often there is a deal between maybe the top 10 or the top 5 alliances that say we want to attack each other. So try to have a lot of activity or in your alliance, maybe merge with another alliance if that is necessary to get into the top 10, so that you become one of the bigger alliances and maybe are not bothered by these aggressions. So that is something to consider. In the end, attacks are not that bad if you don't lose resources, and if you have plenty of hospital capacity. That is definitely a building you should upgrade early on as well. Upgrading your hospital building increases your alliance hospital capacity and your personal hospital capacity. So that is definitely something to focus on. If you are attacked and you only have some wounded, especially if you are still early on and those are lower tier troops, they are quite easy to heal. It's not nice, but it's also not the end of the world if you are hit so now and then. Try to build up a big amount of troops and do everything possible to make your troops stronger, get higher tier troops, get combat buffs in all kind of different ways that you can. At the same time, still put focus on not having excess resources. And at a certain moment, even though when you're attacked, you might have a lot of wounded, the other person that attacks you might have some troops dying. And if they don't get resources for it, it's just a loss for them. Most people will stop if they don't get anything out of attacks after a while. So keep that in mind as well. And maybe your diplomacy player in your alliance can contact the other alliances and say that, okay, later on you would like to play a role in the kingdom versus kingdom. If they allow you to grow, you can support the big players later in these type of events. So that might, early on, they will probably not like to listen to these kind of arguments yet. But later on, they also start to think more like, okay, they need the active players to do well during Kingdom versus Kingdom. So they probably are open to think about that as well. And as long as you, if you're not one of the biggest alliances, as long as you're showing that you're willing to support the kingdom, that is often a very good step in establishing some kind of peace or non-aggression pact between you and the bigger alliances. For the rest, you need to make your alliance as attractive as possible for members. So try to make sure that you create an environment where people help each other, and that doesn't only have to be with resources, but also with giving each other tips, with the big players running rallies that the smaller players can benefit from, and so on and so on. So that's all. That all creates a kind of environment that players will enjoy. Don't force players too much. Don't be too harsh. Sometimes you have leaders that put out very harsh messages, like you have to do this and this, otherwise I will kick you. Okay. The only reason you should really kick is if people keep not following instructions, And if people become inactive, for the rest, you should be happy as leadership of an alliance if you have an active group of players. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, I hope these are some tips that can be helpful if you are beginning, if you are a beginner at building an alliance. There are many technical aspects that I've already handled in other videos and guides as well. So make sure you do have a nice territory. Do go for the castles when possible, although don't try to let that lead into conflicts with the big alliances. But make sure you're active in all ways. Get a nice alliance stack going so that everybody has benefit from being in the alliance as well. Focus on all those things. And also be patient. And yeah, one thing that I already mentioned, but if you're early on working on your alliance, if you have inactive players, a lot of players just check into a game 1 or 2 days and never get back. So don't wait too long, kick those players and try to get new active players in. Keep your alliance open so that new players can join, make it attractive for them. Because having a large active alliance is very important in surviving your alliance and growing your alliance in the long term. Okay, that's it. If you have any comments or any questions, that is always much appreciated, and thank you for watching this video.